But Lee, it's Thursday today.
Yeah.
And guess who's not here?
Storm.
Yeah, we let everyone know beforehand that he was not going to be here.
Yves was pissed about it.
Was he pissed?
I think so. Storm said that Yves was like sending him signals on his trip.
Yeah.
You know?
Which we'll send we'll post that in the show notes here. But
Yeah,
Yves was going out in the grocery stores and in rocks, like carving rocks.
I feel like you need context for this.
Yeah.
So I guess just real quickly, you two don't know this, and we should probably introduce our friends here.
Oh yeah, who are these freaking weirdos?
We pulled these two homeless guys off the street. We said, hey, we don't have producer Storm for the episode. Would you two guys want to do a podcast?
They're pretty handsome homeless men.
Yeah, they're pretty clean homeless men.
We took them to the barber shop next door before we got them on.
It's a separate piece of content, we found two homeless guys and made them attractive. But yeah, we got two friends here, two longtime friends, and one of them is actually returning to the podcast. Our first time guest returnee.
Yeah,
Caden, what's up, man?
Obviously, I know that you guys saw all the comments of like, bring Caden back. Where's Caden? This podcast isn't the same since Caden left. And, I'm glad you guys finally listened. So everyone appreciates it.
Who was saying that? Caden Gibb in the comments?
Caden 1, 2, 3. Yeah, Caden.
And we also have Vic, which if you are a viewer, you might see him on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, goes by Vic Laranja or Crypto with Vic. So welcome, Vic.
Thank you for having me. I'm here to outshine Caden, but fun fact, me and Caden used to have a podcast. So this is like a merging of podcasts.
Actually,
which
that's
is really
crazy.
Cool.
Yeah,
This is it's getting crazy. It's like this is actually like an alternate dimension where all four of us.
This is Marvel versus DC.
We kind of have our own like podcast cinematic universe, and now this is like the first time it's like coming
clashing.
Together.
I
Yeah,
mean, not clashing, uniting.
Yeah.
Uniting.
Imagine if Superman and also Iron Man work together.
Yeah.
You know what's also crazy is we're kind of like battling Storm. Like Storm is like the villain for not being here.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna
he's a
villain
Storm.
Storm, we're coming.
Storm's
for
too
everybody.
nice to be a villain. We need a Storm. It's impossible.
But what if it's deception? Like it's like he makes the dad jokes to cover up his evil thoughts.
It was
evil,
like
intrusive
in
thoughts.
Spider-Man, was it Coming Far From Home, where he was secretly, spoiler, he was the villain.
Yeah.
But at first he wasn't.
Man, that got me.
Yeah, that was.
I did not see that coming.
This was not part of the description beforehand, but we can talk about it if you want.
So before we get started, guys, I don't know how much you guys listen to the podcast, but what are your expectations for today? Like, what are you guys looking to get into? This is for you, Vic. This is your first time on the Fast Forward Pod. What do you hope? What do you hope happens? Any expectations?
I had no expectations coming in. Like, honestly, I'm just here to vibe with the boys. So, yeah.
Love that.
That's it.
We're at the age now where saying that you have a podcast is like a good excuse to our partners that we're hanging out with the guys on a.
It's like the new like golfing. Like before, men would get away from their wives by playing golf, and now they just start a podcast.
Yeah. Sorry, hon. I got to stay late at the office. Me and the guys are going to talk about dumb shit that we talk about at my house, but we're going to record it and put it on the internet.
I wonder how many dudes, like group of guys, like say we need to start a podcast after a funny joke. Like there must be a percentage. Like after 15% of jokes made in group discussions, group male discussions, it always leads up with
any like
we need to
Saturday
start a
night
podcast.
past 11 p.m. discussion in the sunroom or on the backyard by the fire, and they're laughing, having a good time, and they're just like, man, other people would also love this.
That's literally what we did. It's not like those other people. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, we're just exposing ourselves. Caden, what are you expecting today?
I think I'm in the same lane. I'm just like, you know what? If you guys are like, yo, just come hang at the boardroom and talk, I'd be like, yeah, we're there. I'm there, right?
Yeah.
So really, there's no difference other than we just got some mics and some cameras set up. But I just want to create the same magic that we have every time we link up.
We're privileged.
Love that.
We just got all the cameras going, and that's like why we can tell our partners it's legit, even though, we've got Yves at least.
Yeah, Yves is the goat.
What is Yves? Who is Yves?
Yves is our super fan.
Yves
he
Cone.
Watches and listens to every episode in complete duration. He catches all the little we'll bury little hidden things to see if he actually
He's the goat.
listens, and he does.
Period.
We're actually gonna bring him on the episode on one of the episodes pretty soon.
Maybe
Yves,
next week.
Nice to meet you, bro.
Actually, you know what? And Yves will respond to this. That's the funniest part.
This is to Yves right there, man.
At the end of this podcast, I want you to tell us who your favorite guest was. Was it Vic or was it Caden?
Oh,
Or was it Andrew Tate?
He's not here today.
He's not here.
But he's our special guest.
Yeah, I was gonna say. It's like right through that door.
Virtual link.
Man.
Okay, well, guys, for you guys, we got some stories this episode. Kind of what Lewis and I do is we talk about tech, and then we talk more about tech at a deeper level.
Yeah.
And then Lewis likes to bring us back in time about
And you
tech.
like to bring us forward in time.
And I like to bring us forward in time. And then we kind of I mean, usually Storm brings a meme.
Yeah, I got the meme.
You got the meme?
I got the meme too. Yeah,
fuck.
we got it covered.
So Lewis has got a meme for us at the end that we kind of get to enjoy.
So today, let's just roll the intro here, Lee.
Jump right into it.
Yeah, let's
All
just
right.
jump.
Welcome to the Fast Forward Podcast. My name's Lee.
And I'm your co-host Lewis, and welcome to the fastest growing Canadian tech podcast in the universe.
This week we're going to talk about the philosophical battle for the metaverse. And Lewis is going to take us back in time.
Yeah, we're also going to be talking about Blue Apron. You know those meal delivery kits?
Yeah, I think that you're going to flop or something.
Well, let's leave it to the discussion.
We'll find out.
And we're going to be moving forward by talking also about the metaverse. It's going to be interesting.
But this time about like ethos and like what people believe,
Yeah.
what's important to
It's
them.
going to be pretty trip. And it also involves Apple, which Lee is, very, very not a fan of, right?
I'm a huge fan of Apple.
All right, guys, let's roll the intro and get started. I got a question for everyone at the table. Right now, Caden is looking up food, so I'm assuming he's pretty hungry. I don't have a sponsor here, but Blue Apron is discovering that people don't actually like the work that is required for their meal kits. How many of you guys have
Dude.
ordered Good Food, HelloFresh,
I know
Blue Apron?
Go ahead.
I was just saying, how many of you, have all of you guys
Yes.
received it?
That's what I was trying to figure out. I can't remember what was the brand name
Yeah.
that I used.
But
I know Vic has lots to say about this.
Oh yeah.
yeah. So you've used the
Oh, yeah.
HelloFresh before, right? Like
Yeah.
so for anyone that's not aware, what these delivery services do is they give for like $80 a week or something. They'll give you X amount of meals where they give you all the ingredients and then they give you the recipe and you have to cook it yourself. Now, the pros to this kind of approach obviously is there's lack of food waste when it comes to your door. You also have all your meals figured out for the week. So it's pretty cool. However, just as the thing says, Blue Apron is discovering that people don't actually like the work that is required for them to build this. So they're coming out with their own ready-to-cook meal kit service where you heat the food in your microwave or oven. So this obviously comes after Blue Apron was valued at 2 billion bones before, but now they're at a market cap of 100 million. So
Are you sure? I think it's 900 million.
no, I think it's
Oh
one.
shit!
100.
I read that number wrong. It was a 99. It's 99.33. Holy fuck,
Yeah,
That's wild.
so obviously they found that. I mean, there's
dude. That's factoring in inflation.
yeah,
Like that evaluation was 2015.
yeah, and
Well, they were like the first one though.
Dude, if they had
That's
just taken
why.
that money and put it into Parmesan cheese,
yeah.
they would be worth more now.
Now, there's a lot of reasons as to this, and I'm excited to talk about this today and get your opinions on it. But some people say it's people's, with inflation and such and everything, it's people's way of cutting their costs down. What are some ways you can save? Some of them are doing these meal delivery services, which are already pretty expensive. Now, it's saying that people don't like the work required for these meal kits. So I would love to get everyone's experience with these meal kits.
When I first signed up for a meal delivery service, I actually used a brand called We Cook, and it's based out of Quebec. And they had it was completely ready. I just had to microwave it.
Yeah.
So the process was super simple, and that was the reason I actually wanted it, because I didn't want to cook. It wasn't about me like
Not wanting to
prep my
plan
own
your
stuff. Like,
meals.
I wouldn't do Blue Apron because that's the whole purpose for me. Is like I want to save the time. That's what I want back is my time for the money I'm going to spend for this, right?
Yeah.
Versus actually having like it's.
And
do it myself.
and We Cook is the answer to products like Blue Apron, HelloFresh, Insert. There's a
Yeah.
bunch of them, right?
The problem with like We Cook, I found, because I was on We Cook
Oh,
too.
yeah.
I like spread it throughout our friends. I was like, We Cook's the best because like you can just cut the meal prep time in half or literally
Yeah.
to nothing.
Do
like
no meal
Kaden
prep.
Said. Yeah.
Just microwave food.
It was not only that, it was like fresh every week. But what I found was their meal choices were not the greatest. Like they condensed it. It was like 3 meals that were like really good and then like 10 meals that were just like totally mediocre. And when you'd get them by accident, by maybe not like selecting it on your app, it was like, oh, I don't even want this. And you just kind of like let it go
Yeah.
to waste. So
So just to give you guys my quick thoughts on this, I've actually probably I might have the most meal delivery experience of all of us.
Yeah.
I got onto HelloFresh very, very early, like before it was very popular, not to be a hipster about it. But I got into it because I was actually waiting for it. So before that became a thing, I was always thinking like, yo, there's no point to go to the grocery store. People could just send you shit and you could just make it at home. It could be prepped and all the great features that came with it. And I like to cook. So HelloFresh was awesome. I tried pretty much all of them, like the Chef's Plate. The other one that was like the Canadian one, I forget.
Good Food.
Good food. Yeah, there we go. Thank you guys. And overall, the experience is not bad, but the issue is, the time that it takes. But you learn new recipes. It is actually really not wasteful. Like every single ingredient gets used.
Yeah.
But the problem, I think with Blue Apron is that you can't make money in the business. So even though it's super efficient, it's also a great opportunity. And when it's a great opportunity, a lot of people, crowd the market. So you have all these companies that are all saying, here's like 3 weeks free or 2 weeks free, or, here's you got $200 off your first 4 orders. And they're all so aggressive in customer acquisition. And when all these companies are fighting for whatever profit is at the table, pun not intended, they actually lose their profitability, and it makes it harder for them to actually have sustainable business models. The downside to these meal kits that you don't have to cook and you just microwave them is that, and that's Vic's experience, is the meals are mediocre because most good meals don't actually all heat evenly and all heat, in one kind of motion. Like a meal from HelloFresh might have a side salad and also a pasta that has to be cooked separately from the protein and the veggies cooked separately. And with your type of meals, it's all cooked ahead of time and you just have to reheat it.
Yeah.
And not all meals kind of work. Like you couldn't, like for example, have like potato wedges that aren't like crispy and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and actually potato wedges would come in We Cook and they'd just be like soggy and like not it.
You can't
That's
do
just
that.
the issue because I guess it's kind of like addressing 2 demographics here. One is for what you guys, I just do not want to cook at all. For me specifically, I do love cooking. I love cooking every night, and I love being able to, like, to me, a microwavable meal is like to me, it might, there's no kind of like in between of like a HelloFresh and a microwavable meal. It has to either be one or the other. And for example, like a PC butter chicken that you can get for like $3 at Superstore, to me, that's just like the most I would ever do out of that. So I wouldn't order this type of thing. But I also found that once, like, the most convenience I received from HelloFresh was mostly the recipe curation. Like I like being able to like get a bunch of pamphlets and being like, that's what I'm cooking. And it is pretty convenient.
It takes the decisions out, like the fatigue, right? You only get like 9 options. You pick 3. It makes it kind of simple.
It also kind of teaches you how to cook. Like for like my
beginners.
family, we were very proficient with cooking, and it gave us a lot of like, this is a common mix of ingredients that, I wouldn't have known. No one taught me this, and now we use it in other things. So,
but to go back to Lee's point as well, like what Blue Apron does is like they never had like something that they could like leverage so hard in their favor to get them to be successful. Because like you said, like as soon as they came out, HelloFresh, Good Food, all of them have these like all they needed was capital to replicate what they're doing.
There's no unique proprietary system because recipes already exist, fulfillment systems already exist, farms and distribution already exists. So all they did was they just went farm to table.
Last week, Lee, we talked about the Walmart. Walmart is going for EV vehicles that are going to be doing deliveries to your house for groceries. Now, think about this. Like now even Walmart and Amazon can get into this game easily because they already have the distribution of all the items.
Isn't Blue Apron Amazon? Or didn't they try to buy?
I don't know exactly.
That sounds familiar.
But
yeah,
have a look. But to me, when I'm talking about the curation of recipes, if Walmart just does that, or Superstore, and they delivered it to my house right after, I would find it just as value.
I wonder what the numbers are with these services since the pandemic happened, of like people not wanting to go out into the actual physical grocery store. Because I would assume, because I just remember like having to go like pick up groceries for my family, where we're like, we'd go to Walmart, but we wouldn't go in. We would just like go to the pickup. And that was the first time we ever even thought of doing online groceries or anything. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that had the same experience.
Yeah. So you're right. During the pandemic, they did experience a slight bump in revenue. But here's where I actually think things will change really radically. Already, Walmart's doing a great job with the pickup and delivery. I personally, I just think, if you've only got like 6 or 7 meals, the grocery store would be the best place to get a meal kit. And then you cut out the whole shipping and then dealing with like food coming in a box with a bunch of ice packs. And and Walmart does it so everything's so efficiently.
What is it? What's the average? Like $8 a meal or something?
It ranges between like $9 to $15 now.
It's more, and like if you're going out to eat at like a decent restaurant, that's like what you're gonna spend on your meal.
Yeah.
So we cooked stuff that was like ready to go microwavable. From my remember, it was like $11.99, like $14.99 like per meal. It's like depending on how many you got in bulk.
Protein and
so expensive.
Yeah,
I know it costs a lot for produce nowadays anyway. But you're right. Like if I go to this is the issue. If I go to McDonald's right now, they have a $10.99 coupon I can get for me and my partner, right? Now it's hard to compete with McDonald's, and obviously McDonald's isn't as high quality.
Not the same like nutritional value.
But but when you're looking at the two together, right? When you're looking at $15 for one meal versus like
one meal you have to allocate a half hour to making and 15 minutes to cleaning up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's starting to make more sense.
And one of the downsides of the meal kits is that you get a week's worth. So the first day it's fresh, but towards the end of the week, some of these ingredients actually do start to go bad.
And the amount of HelloFresh bags that have gone bad in my house, it's probably like 40%.
That's crazy. That's not even.
And
here's the thing: I'm super anti-waste, so I haven't had quite that percentage, but it's a battle. It's like I gotta cook all these HelloFreshes and I gotta eat them.
Or
really
then you're
fast.
like giving them away to family, and it's like, okay, why did I even buy this? I could have just done the pay-as-you-go model of eating out rather than like
it's more and have less financial waste versus the food waste.
Exactly.
And that's why I think something like if Walmart had it, we're all like 10 minutes away from Walmart, so you could just go get the kit on the way home from work and then do the kit at home, and then you're not kind of queuing up a whole week's worth. Walmart could probably do it for cheaper. They don't need customer acquisition because they already have all the customers that come into their store every single week.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I 100% agree that
Walmart's
this is somewhere Walmart should be.
The thing is, though, Walmart's less in the service, which is technically that's kind of a service. It's just a
but is it?
Because
you're just purchasing a product. So like, imagine Walmart literally had a section where you just went and you grabbed the bag. And they were just like, there's a sticker on them. They were like 2 days fresh.
It's a solid idea for them, but I don't know if that's really in the confines of what
they're already doing
Walmart
it. They're already
does.
doing it in the States. So they have Blue Apron across America at Walmart if you buy online, and Walmart's starting to do meal kits. It's actually becoming a trend in every grocery store. They actually have like fajita kits are really easy.
Right.
They have like Greek chicken, Parmesan chicken kits because they're really easy. But that's a trend that we're seeing more and more of. So I only can assume that people are going to start to expect better quality kits. Yeah. And grocery stores will have that's a competitive advantage. If you're a superstore and your pricing is a bit more expensive than Walmart, but you have all the great meal kits, well, like, I'm going to go there.
They kind of already do, though. You walk in, there's like, at least at Metro, I know Metro really kills it. They have like ribs, pre-made, like the chickens, obviously they had forever, the different pastas.
But that's cooked, that's deli.
Yeah.
So
there's also, though, at Metro,
like
they have that whole section with like the uncooked lasagnas, like all those things, right?
But what I mean too, you can just like it's even more easier to do it like in the user interface in the Walmart pickup store. You just click on like lasagna, right? And it's like called meal kit, and they just do all of the back end work that they're already doing by like putting it, like delivering it to your vehicle, and there it is, right? Like
I think right now though, it's just like really difficult for even Walmart, who's huge, but Walmart is suffering right now because food is so expensive. Food and fuel is driving inflation more than anything else. And like what Walmart announced this week is basically that because food and fuel is costing so much, that it's taking away from consumers buying other stuff like clothes and accessories and like whatever else they sell at Walmart, right? And they're seeing a lot of decline in sales. If you've noticed, and I've noticed this at Walmart, they have these huge sections of just clearance of clothes, and it's because they have so much inventory and no one's buying clothes at Walmart.
Interesting.
They don't have the money for it.
Interesting.
So the margins, I think, on a product like this, I do see it as a service though, because even at Metro, there's a whole section where people are just working on that stuff all day, right? They're like at Superstore, they have that sushi section. Where there's a service being done, but it's sold as a product. Right, it's sold as a product. But they have to account for that labor, additional labor in the margins. Where like right now,
that's why I mean like where it's like if you just take of course, like none of us know the back end of Walmart like specifically, right? But in my head, I just think someone who is already bagging all of like like when you order something off of Walmart.com and you're going to arrange for a 6 p.m. pickup, they have a list of all the stuff that they walk around in store. So if they just see lasagna kit, they just grab, all right, I just need the noodles, I need the sauce, I need the cheese, I need the ricotta, whatever. So it's kind of like the same thing. And all they have to do is just put it in a bag that says like lasagna, right? And that seems pretty simple. And to kind of like go back full circle, I feel like that would kind of fix my need that Blue Apron and HelloFresh's big vision was before, and just do it at Walmart.
Right. So what you're saying is like, it's not like a pre-built kit on the shelf as a kit. It's more like you would get a recipe card like HelloFresh gives you, and then the Walmart worker doing click and collect or whatever is just going to grab all the items, bag it, and then it's like the illusion of a HelloFresh type of a meal, Blue Apron.
Without the saving on the food waste, because you
Right.
might get a full bag of rice when you only need enough for one deal.
But then on the consumer end, like you're saying on the app, it's just like click lasagna kit.
Sure, that's kind of like the short-term solution, and then eventually
they could scale it up.
It's way more flexible too. You know what I mean?
Because they could do anywhere, and with all they have every recipe, because their database at Walmart's huge. They have so many, and as soon as like one sauce goes out of inventory, any recipe connected to that is also gone, right? So they can programmatically build that in. I guess to wrap this conversation up. Nice.
Tortilla.
My next question would be kind of like, where does this, because like this has been an evolution, right? So we've seen it change, and we went from the meal kits to the already made. The next evolution that's clear to me would be where there's like a business model where I subscribe, so the acquisition, like all these meal kits are getting, like the weekly reoccurring revenue is there. I subscribe, but I just get meals to my door. Like every day by 3 p.m. I have to make my pick, and then by 5 p.m. it's at my door. And there's like a business, and this would probably only work in big cities, but if you're in Toronto and your family subscribes, it's like you get 4 meals a week that you can just, anytime, it's like a get out of jail free card. You punch it in, it'll just deliver on their route, and then they have like 3 options a night. So tonight there's like burgers, lasagna, and pad thai. And you're like, we'll do lasagna this week, and then boom, and then it's like they're already making it, and they're just they kind of do the
pre-made
math.
Or these like recipes that you have to
pre-made,
make?
like you're just getting a hot meal.
Are they
so
batch?
you don't have to put it in the microwave or the oven. So it's better than it's the evolution past we cook.
Is that becoming Uber Eats then at this point?
No, so it's Uber Eats, which is delivery and distribution, but it's also the fulfillment. So the business is just like a ghost kitchen, and they only sell to subscribers.
And they only sell like the 3 things that are
they're
on the
making
menu
that night. So
like,
they can do economies of scale, make big batches of pasta.
They're making like 2,000 burgers at once.
But how does the delivery scale up?
What do you mean by delivery?
Because you're saying it's being delivered. Like let's say, for example, Friday, most people are going to want to order, and we'll just take burgers, for example, burger and fries on Friday. How are we going to scale all those people, all those drivers out to be able to go to all the spots?
Probably you have people eat dinner between probably like 4 and 7, 4 and 8.
Yeah.
So you just pick your time, and as they fill up, kind of like when you do pick up at Walmart, you just have to pick the next time slot. And then delivery drivers are in waves. Like as soon as the food's finished, they're doing a wave, and then they're coming back and doing a wave.
Oh, so it's kind of like it's not like there's like an infinite amount. It's just kind of like you have to schedule a time.
Yeah, you pick a time.
Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
and then they just count as credits, and if you don't use them, they just accrue.
Yeah. Now, yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense, I guess.
That like
Man, they're gonna be 3D printing food. Just press a button and it's like
that actually exists.
That's a whole.
Before we jump in, do you guys have any like kind of predictions on how you think it's gonna end?
I thought you were gonna say, do you want to order Uber Eats?
I just can't wait until food is in pill form. I've been waiting for that my whole life. I don't like. I'm the opposite of Lewis. Like Lewis is saying that he's like loves to cook. I hate
love
cooking.
food. Yeah.
Do you like food though? Like, do you love different flavors and trying different cuisines?
Yeah, but like for like the nourishment and the utility of food, I wish that I could just be like, eat a pill. Okay, I'm good. And
There's
like I
two
get all my
types of
nutritional
people.
value, right? Like that's.
I've seen there was one time a Hacker News thread that was talking about like biggest life hacks ever, and it's like if you're someone who's not a fan or like isn't the craziest fan of food, and like for me, I indulge in it. That's my vice versus like people's like utility, like the Instant Pot, right? Like crazy. So I just thought there's always 2 types of people like you or me.
Yeah. Smart people.
Oh shit, he's gonna come for you, Vic.
Yeah. Can you won? No, that's funny.
How about you guys? Any predictions how this is gonna end? Where do we reach equilibrium as society where we just like figured out food? It's such a fucking mess. Like the fridge, the deep freezer, like digging out this shit that's going bad. Like,
Yeah.
why isn't eating more simple?
I heard
think
like something like
less expensive.
40% of food globally is wasted.
I've heard 30%.
30%?
Yeah.
Which is just like
insane.
What?
And then we struggle to feed people, and then when we eat, it's like messy. Food goes bad. I don't know. I just feel like food needs to be better optimized.
There's like a massive. I just tweeted it today. It was a massive like overgrown or oversupply of avocados in Australia, and like avocado brands are begging Australian people to like buy and eat their avocados before they all go bad.
They don't have enough millennials or what?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Millennials aren't doing part-time work in Australia right now because of the pandemic. That's what's happening.
Yeah. Just like make this gigantic. My solution to that issue is just one big guac bowl and supply chips.
The guac party.
Yeah, we need to have a guac party in Australia.
That would save it.
I think
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think that like, because with food specifically, like outside of just food as like a utility aspect, there's lots of culture in food as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think food is going anywhere. But I do think that
that's a good take. That's a quote. Food isn't going anywhere, boys.
But I do think that there's going to be, because like there's starving people, right? And we can't like assume that we can feed pasta to the people that are dying, right? They have to eat stuff that is like more easily accessible, like rice, whatever. But I think that pill form to like give you the basic nutrients would do a lot of good as well.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say there's that like Soylent drink or whatever it's called in the States. I don't have it in Canada, which is like trying to do that. I never
a meal
tried
replacement.
It. Yeah, but it's like a genuine meal. It's banned here. Though.
So I think it would be cool if it became two things. Because Lewis, how often do you eat to enjoy food versus how often you eat for utility? Because like Vic's right. Like most of my meals are just like sustenance and utility, but then I love like on a Friday or a Saturday, like going on the barbecue and making some ribs or whatever, right?
Probably like 75%
so
of my meals.
What if 75% of your meals came in a highly utility?
No,
low
I mean,
cost?
sorry, 75% like is like food I like to eat.
Oh, you enjoy it.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'd be
so
in the same boat. Yeah.
okay, so I'm on the page where like I have like 4 meals a week I care about being good. The rest I don't care.
Yeah, I'm like maybe 2. Like,
But then I really care about them being good. So I couldn't commit to what you're saying, Vic. I like the balance. So imagine there was like the food option that's just like nourishing and it's easy and fast and cheap. And then you had the time to like, who gives a fuck if I'm wasting food on this, like making this pad thai because I'm like doing it to enjoy it.
Like I'll have the lobster and the steak and the ribs. Like that's that type of vibe.
Be gluttonous, you know.
Yeah.
But Vic, you actually said something kind of interesting. And you said 3D printing food. Have you guys heard about the 3D printing drinks?
Drinks?
Yeah.
No.
Like the bottle?
No, like
the actual drink?
Like making drinks, like but like not 3D print, just printing them. Molecular printing. Have you guys heard of this?
No, I haven't heard of that.
Jump on your computers and type in molecule printing drinks.
I'll look at your monitor.
So that basically the company is Canna, and the Canna 1 can print any drink using molecule printing. Like literally, if I go to the website,
is this like a theoretical thing?
No, they're actually doing pre-sales right now. So it's called it says maximum taste, minimum waste. If you guys look at canna.com, that's CANA.com. Basically, what their whole premise is that all drinks are basically like 99% water and then just a couple of other molecules. And that's alcoholic cocktails, that's coffee, that's pop, that's juice, that's carbonated water, whatever. So they have a machine that has water, carbonation, and then molecules, flavor molecules, caffeine molecules, whatever, and they can just print any drink.
That's mad.
And you just get new molecule cartridges every month.
So ridiculous.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I want that.
We want to get one for the office, and the price is actually not that crazy.
No, it didn't look bad.
So it's gonna be $500 for the first 10,000 orders for this printer. And I mean, like, how much does a fucking Nespresso cost? You know,
like literally like $200,
like $300. I'm pretty sure.
And one of the cool things about this is that your company can create your own molecular brand. So you could create like for example, like a sports drink. So electrolyte, vitamins, low sugar, whatever. And then your brand could be accessible on the display. So you could like see like your company, and that's how third-party creators can make money on the marketplace. So you can create a brand that's on here, and then they can buy your like concoction of molecules and mix it with water. And apparently it's like the cocktails are amazing. The drinks are amazing.
That's messed up. I want to try that really
bad. That's really crazy.
Yeah.
3D printed drinks is going to be a complete culture shift if it goes right.
Yeah, it'll change the way we do everything. It'll change all of our kitchens.
Yeah. Or your virtual kitchen too, in the metaverse.
Zuckerberg says that competition with Apple is of a philosophy, an open metaverse versus a tightly controlled one. In a memo to his staff, he's basically saying, hey guys, like one of the employees actually mentioned, they said, hey, like Apple's also creating like an AR VR device. Where does that, how does that impact us? And he's basically saying we're not just competing for market, we're competing for our vision for the future. And obviously Zuckerberg has a different one than Apple has. And he's basically asking his staff to answer the question through their work. He's saying, is a metaverse that is open and accessible by all, kind of like Android is in the cell phone space, where people can kind of do their own side loading? Or will Apple's approach of tightly controlled, well intertwined hardware and software be better? And he's not posing it like he knows the answer. He's saying we will find out, which I think is really interesting.
This very much feels like the free market versus communism. It sounds a lot like that. It's like one's going to be open, one's like this tight knit control of our way. I don't know.
Meta is not like, he might say it's going to be open, but it's not.
There's irony.
It's not. There is some. Both you guys.
What do you guys think? The real open world metaverse is going to be made by NVIDIA. They already have NVIDIA Omniverse. It connects basically everything.
We covered that on the pod.
Yeah, well, that's where the metaverse will be created.
But to be fair as well, though, like Meta and I believe with NVIDIA and Microsoft, Epic Games, like a whole bunch of companies, they've partnered together to champion the Metaverse Open Standards Group, where stuff like NVIDIA Omniverse is going to happen. Apple's not part of that list. And so when Lee, you mentioned it was like more like Android versus Apple, to me, it's more so like we have to like kind of take a level like higher or lower, whatever you want to say it is, because if the Metaverse is going to be kind of like just the world 2.0 or internet 2.0, whatever you want to call it.
Web 4.
Web 4, Web 7, whatever you want to call it. It's like you have to think like, okay, where as human beings do we align ourselves with it? Do we want to have an all-ruling power like Apple? Or do we want to be able to have the choice of different types of metaverses, such as Microsoft, Epic Games, or others? Kind of like, should we just let Apple have it, or should we let Apple earn it, if that makes sense? So that's what my opinion is.
Well, like fundamentally, the metaverse is all of the metaverses. That's what it truly is. It's a one place. There's not like, oh, I'm not on that internet, I'm on this internet. It's like, no, you're just on the internet.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's where the difference happens, though, because like if we take even Apple's already approaches to doing things as of now, we have like, you can't, like a lot of the web technologies that are available, you can't do on iOS because they have dominant market share of people who access the web, and they just say, we just want you to use Safari, like a crappy Safari, and then you go to the App Store.
Safari accesses the same data that Google Chrome does, right? But the App Store has different pre-programmed applications, different than the Android store, different from just surfing the web in general. Like you're saying, like I can't just take a Windows application and install it on my iPhone. But the metaverse is, think of it more like the internet, where it's like supposed to be a totally interoperable network.
And I agree with you there, but like I don't think you like. So the difference is that with the web, there's like a web standards that you're supposed to like follow through. All the browsers should go through it. Otherwise, your browser is like considered something in the past, right? Mm-hmm. Like for example, Apple just in the new iOS 15.3 update, they now support video being playing directly into your in Safari using the WebM format, which is like something that's been done for like 10 years almost now.
So long.
Yeah. And so, but like think about this. Why do they do this? It's because they want people to go onto their app store where they can take all of the revenue, right? And of course there are some there's lots of other reasons too. I'm not going to pretend that Apple is just like a complete, money hungry company, because I do understand there's some safety concerns, but that's what I'm saying. If the metaverse wants to operate like the internet, then we can't let Apple, like we can't have this things where it's like, oh, you're on Apple's metaverse or you're on Meta's metaverse, etc.
If I can expand on this, I actually think the metaverse is the internet, and it's just the evolution of it. And if we look at if you just look at the pattern, you go like Mac and PC or iOS and Android. The way that I see this going is that there's two ways. Apple could try to create their own closed off metaverse, and a closed off metaverse is a internet that is fenced off in a sense, and there's not going to be enough contribution to make it compelling. So what I think will actually end up happening is they're both going to create hardware the same way they created cell phones, the same way they created computers, that help us access the internet in a new way. This hardware will be virtual reality, augmented reality, etc. But I think the experience will be different between the two, just like it is today. So I experience the internet through my Mac computer, through my iPhone, through my Apple Watch, through my AirPods, right? So one day, maybe through my Apple glasses. And I think for people that can afford those devices, I think Apple's going to create a really high quality metaverse experience the same way they always have with other hardware software integrations. I don't think there's a world where you're in a different metaverse than me, because I think the meta, like that, it doesn't really function well. If Facebook and Omniverse and Nvidia are doing this thing where like everyone can contribute to this metaverse, that's going to be the only one people want to be on. Mm-hmm. Apple could not possibly be able to build that type of an experience on their own.
Well, I think like Apple, like naturally has its own ecosystem, and they're just trying to build onto their own ecosystem and make it more robust and just make it more user friendly and more valuable to their consumer. That's really what they do, right? They just create tech that makes people's lives easier and better, which they're good at. But I think the metaverse is kind of solving something different, where it's like, we want to be on the internet, but this clunky interface is not a good way for us to interact with it. Yeah. So how can we have a better interaction with the digital world and have digital ownership over the things that we have digitally and in the real world? And a really cool example, a project that I'm working with right now, it's called Sango, and it's
is this a paid plug, by the way? Because this is the fact we need to cut. This is our podcast.
No, they only paid me for a TikTok. So this is just, I'm just bringing it up because it's actually really cool. So Sango is a digital currency that the Central African Republic is making, because they're making what they call Crypto City. So Crypto City is going to be a metaverse, but in the real world, where like all your legal documents, your citizenship, your land ownership, your business registration, your money is all built on a layer 2 Bitcoin blockchain. So the metaverse, like now I'm starting to see it's like, okay, the metaverse is just like a better digital plugin for the real world.
Yeah, you know what? It's when you say stuff like that, it sounds like the words being kind of like hijacked a little bit. Metaverse, like I think right now we still need a few more years before we can really define what it is.
Yeah,
because I get what you're saying, but then the way I look at it is like VR is an evolution of the computer, the desktop. I'm like locked into my physical location. I can't go anywhere. I experience this screen. I see all this bullshit around it. I mean, handsome men around it, but it's like this is
that's your metaverse.
The VR, the handsome men in my metaverse. My evolution of the desktop computer is VR, because I'm stuck in my place, but it's incredibly immersive. And then AR is like the evolution of the mobile phone, where I'm out in the world and I'm experiencing, I'm capturing, I'm interacting, and I'm not tethered to a physical location. Mm-hmm. But even then, there's like this hardware device. It's like in my hand. It's like taking my most important limb away from me. And also like it poses a safety risk. It's also like takes me out of the present moment. So I mean, this is the way I see it. I just don't see the metaverse being an evolution of anything else but the internet. And it's just new hardware. That's how I see it. I don't see it being like this big philosophical jump. I think I'll probably go somewhere and they'll be like, we have like an AR application, and I'm like, does it support Android and iOS? And they're like, yeah.
I think that's what Zuckerberg is trying to hint at, though. Like, I think he's trying to say your opinion, where like if Apple wants to, it's not so much like Apple should not make an AR headset because we want to sell it, because there is irony behind, like there's business intentions behind Zuckerberg selling his headsets, right? Clearly, yeah. Of course, right? Yeah. And with this statement as well. But the point is right now Apple is very highly leveraged when it comes to their products. Everyone owns an iPhone, so if you're using your iPhone or Mac, whatever it takes to power your AR glasses to access this metaverse, well, they can then put everything behind a paywall. They can maybe put everything behind like their own proprietary APIs, and that's kind of the point. Where the internet came from now. Obviously this is another debate for another time, but the idea is that on the internet, any four of us could just use the APIs that were freely given available to all of us to build our own business, to build our own brand, to make videos, to make websites, whatever. Everyone has easy access because the internet is just the internet. But imagine if, and I'm not going to say Apple or Facebook, but like if this X company had like a huge leverage, and they told you what you could and could not do on the internet. You had to do it their way. They were kind of like the all ruler of the internet.
Like if they ran the metaverse.
Exactly.
Like if they had the hardware.
The government.
Like
I was about to say,
you know what?
I've heard about that before.
Yeah. You know what's funny? We all made that connection because when Lewis was talking about it, I was like, in my head, I'm going, thank God for capitalism. Because if we didn't have capitalism and the government just like recruited a company to make the metaverse, that's what would happen. But the reason that can't happen and won't is because if somebody creates their closed off ecosystem, the consumer will go where there's better. The consumer is like, has the freedom of choice. And because that, they'll always go to like, hey, you know what? Apple's like fencing me in. Like I don't have freedom on this platform. I'm leaving.
But
So
that's how I feel Meta's going to do it. I feel like Meta's going to fence everyone in and be like, these are our apps.
But here's the thing is like, then it has to be good. So the thing about Apple that's funny is that people say they kind of like corner their users and whatever, but at the end of the day, you don't have to buy Apple products. They corner you as much as they know you'll tolerate, because that's what they should do in business. And the thing is, they know you'll tolerate it because of all the good things they give you in exchange. Like if Apple didn't have AirPlay or AirDrop and iMessage and the easy copy and paste and all of the kind of the ecosystem functions, and if it wasn't so easy in the apps like Logic and Final Cut, whatever, I don't think I would tolerate like me not being able to say, hey Siri, play Spotify, back in the day when they didn't let you do that, right?
You just activated my Siri.
Oh, sorry.
I hate when that happens.
So, because that was kind of annoying when they only had, Apple Music was the only thing you could use Siri for. I think they fixed it now.
The thing is though, is that I agree there, and without getting sidetracked too much, because you're right, like if at the end of the day, they're just making better software consistently. If they're like my Mac and iPhone being connected really well, that's no issue. That's really good. That's a plus. To me, I just don't like the dark patterns that Apple uses to close off to make sure that like their
what would you do? What would you, if you had a customer base where you invest all this money in R&D so that your chips are the fastest and your device is the best, blah, blah, blah. And your strategy was, okay, so to afford making the best product, we need to have a high profit per customer.
Yeah, we have to have, but here's the thing though.
You can't have all the best with all the freedom. I think there has to be a price to pay, right?
Well, for sure. But I mean, that could arguably be, that could be an issue with conglomerates like Apple in the first place, right? And that, I mean, I don't have an issue. I'm just a consumer as well. And the issue I have, and especially someone who works in the field, is that Safari is crap.
Yeah.
And it's purposely crap. It's not like we're making better decisions for you. Like they've purposely made these really questionable decisions.
To prevent the web apps?
To prevent web apps from being a thing, because they need to drive people to the app store where you can then get the native features. And I understand like hardware acceleration, like video games are not going to happen on the web app, right? And if it is, it's not for afar. But that's just my issue. And if we take that philosophy over to it, and I know there's irony when it comes to Meta saying like, be careful of these people,
they're the same.
right? Yeah, exactly. But here they at least are showing some sort of promise with other conglomerates, which is weird with other people.
The thing about Meta is like, they're notorious for just buying other people's ideas, technologies, companies. Like they just tried to buy a huge VR fitness application, and they got denied. I think it was the FTC.
Yeah, the Federal Trade Commission's in the process of. So there's been a complaint. I don't think it's been approved yet, but they're trying to stop. They're arguing that Beat Saber is the other best fitness app, so they can't have both of them.
Yeah, and they have to go out and develop their own. And like Meta's invested a ton of money into the metaverse right now, or their metaverse. And I hate calling it the metaverse because I just don't think that it will be like what the end.
Unless it's good enough. Unless they make it so good that we don't care that they run it.
Well, that's the thing is like, I think at this point, like I read today that they've invested over $16 billion in the last 2 years, like a year and a half, actually into the metaverse. And it's like, okay, well, if you've invested that much, I hope you've had some progress. And it's not just like Horizon Worlds.
Mm-hmm. You know what's interesting? They actually just reported at the earnings call their first loss in revenue.
Yeah.
So this is like really what we're looking at is 100% a make or break moment for the company.
Well, actually their user base projections were better than anticipated, not by much, but they did have a loss
in revenue though.
In revenue, but their user base, they projected it was like 0.2 more than it should have been.
And it's interesting that Apple is primarily the reason for it, and now Apple is probably their primary competitor in this metaverse space because they
and
lost.
They haven't
all
even
this.
released anything yet, or even announced.
No,
anything.
they haven't announced. That's the craziest part, man. Apple moves like a different beast. Like the fact that like memos are coming out where Zuckerberg is saying they're going to challenge us when Zuckerberg has product in the market, like tons of them. Yeah. That's how scary Apple's like stealth mode is.
Well,
I think
Apple just. Oh, go ahead. Luis.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, you go and I'll say my point after.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think Apple has that because they infiltrate culture. Like it is culturally cool,
scary
to have an iPhone.
Yeah, all of us have iPhones.
Look at our I feel like a loser. I have an Acer at this desk, and everyone else has.
You said it.
We brought it. You said it.
Yeah, but it's like a cultural movement to have Apple products, which is like deeply rooted in their brand, but that's how powerful they are.
You know what's crazy? Like the thing that everyone says about these headsets is they look stupid, right? It's like you can't wear these weird augmented reality headsets. They're clunky, they're big, whatever. Think about how Apple made the AirPod so cool.
Yeah.
Like you have this weird stem sticking out, and it just like they dropped it and it immediately became like
people just
there's memes.
People
There's
just
lots
like wear
of
them in
memes.
photos, and like it's like, why are you wearing?
They're just
they were always cool for the second they dropped.
The second they dropped,
looks great.
and
There's
then,
lots of memes, but it caught on.
But it caught on well, and then everybody else made their. So what happens when Apple just goes? By the way, AR glasses.
Yeah.
Like it. I feel like in the first month they're on track to beat Meta with the Quest.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I only switched because I was on Google Pixel. I only switched to iPhone in anticipation years ahead of Google Glasses coming out.
Do you remember Apple glasses?
Sorry. Apple Glasses.
Do you remember me giving you shit about that and telling you that you needed to switch because that's gonna power your glasses? Because remember you and Alicia were at my house and I was like to explain to you, you need to have an iPhone because if you don't have an iPhone, I think the AR glasses are not going to work because we're all going to have all
I do
AR
remember
glasses.
That, but I was already sold on it. Like I was already like leaning. Maybe you nailed the
It's
call.
gonna be tough when Meta comes out with their next version of maybe it'll be glasses or something. But like for all of us cool MacBook users, I'm just joking, Vic. Anyways, it's like when Apple finally drops their eyewear or whatever it'll be called, it's like. Even if Meta had a slightly better product, in my mind, I'm like, everything I have is Apple and it's going to integrate perfectly. Yeah. Even if it's maybe just slightly less, or maybe there's a bit less of an open AI.
30% lower. I don't care.
Yeah, like I'm like, it doesn't matter. I'm like, it syncs so well. Apple literally has me by the balls so hard.
Yo, let's be honest. Let's say there's no integration, like no interoperability. The fact that it has a fucking Apple logo, just my OCD, I want shit to match.
Yeah.
And I'll admit it. You know what I mean?
Apple has the high ground.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's why I think Zuck is coming up with this philosophy. They have the high ground easily. Now, I want to circle back to a conversation here real quick because my opinion is not necessarily like I don't have a super libertarian value when it comes to like the metaverse. Like everyone should be free. If we look at how the internet like currently at the moment was free back in like 2000 to like 2006 or even before that, you had things like 4chan. You had things like just really kind of chaos that was happening
still
on the
4chan,
web.
but yeah,
like 4chan is still there. You can see how it is. All it is porn. It's like abuse, right?
Yeah.
And if we look kind of even the last 4 or 5 years in the VR space or the metaverse, there's VR chat, which VR chat, there's lots of cool things. You play games. A lot of people find a lot of they find a lot of personality there, but lots of furries, lots of grotesque things. This is where VR sex is being like very much like being implemented constantly, right? And because of this is also a non-moderated space. What happens when that happens, right? So there definitely needs to be a middle ground before it kind of comes on to consumers. So yeah. I'm on Team Meta for this one.
That has to be part of the reason why Meta rebranded to Meta is because they see the apples and how it's like, what if Facebook stayed Facebook and they came out with their like Facebook glasses? That would have just never like landed.
No,
I think it was also
possible.
to save face. Like Facebook, like between the 2016 election to 2020 with all their leaks, like they just their name was tainted.
I mean, they were a massive company and they completely changed their name. I would say it's safe to argue there was multiple good reasons. I think
for sure.
Negative PR, and then to Caden's point, this is about to be a huge culture shift, and the only fucking people that use Facebook are boomers. So like, if you had Facebook can you imagine? I got my new Facebook AR glasses. Like, okay, grandma.
In 10 years, we're gonna look back and be like, "Yo, you guys remember like it used to be called Facebook? Like that's gonna be such a weird conversation."
Yeah, that is gonna be weird.
It'll be, and our kids will know it. They'll be like, "Oh, Meta."
Well, Facebook is still like a thing though. Like they still call it Facebook. Like
but the platform itself is not Like, I don't know if my kids will use Facebook.
The business side is all
true.
Meta now. Like it's like
Meta's
Meta
Instagram
Business
and
Suite.
stuff.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how it goes. I'm really so Team Apple, Team Meta. Let's hear them.
Team Nvidia, bro.
So Team Meta.
Nvidia.
Well,
Nvidia.
no, they're team, but like
Between
it's one or the other.
Is it Zuck or Tim Cook's philosophy? He's like, who do you think wins that? Who do you think wins that race?
I'll just like not voting because I don't want either of them to win.
So my vote is that both of them will be Nvidia, but Apple will have better products. So I'm going to buy.
I think that Apple will probably win AR and Meta will probably win VR. And
from a product perspective.
Perspective, but I think like the
when you're at home,
raw Metaverse is going to be Nvidia.
But the thing is, both of them. I think that's maybe what Lewis is asking. Like both.
It's behind. It's not like because Apple's just going we can all we're preaching to the choir here.
Yeah.
Like Apple is just going to make the better products. Like no ifs, ands, or buts. But it's the philosophy here. It's Apple. Does Apple like morally speaking have the right to be able to completely use their leverage to take over their vision of the
let's
metaverse
put it this
for
way.
everyone?
Let's put it this way. If Zuck isn't full of shit, because I feel like he is, like I don't trust him at all, right?
Yeah.
So if he isn't full of shit and his view of the metaverse is this all-encompassing open world where you can build, I can build, we can all build and be great together, then sure, yeah, Meta for sure. But if it's not, like then probably Apple because they're gonna have better hardware, and then Meta's just gonna be this gross place
and
where they have bad hardware and it's just boring.
And here's the thing: it's not a dichotomy. Like what happens is the Androids, the PCs, the Metas of the world, they create this open playground where everything is fair and fair game. And Apple creates their own fence thing, but then they still get to play in your fucking backyard. They still get all your apps, access to your shit. Like do you know what I mean?
And I think either way,
so they benefit from a profit perspective because their customers have to pay for their premium glasses and maybe some premium subscriptions that come baked in. But if I'm an Apple user, you're not getting anything I don't get. I'm getting shit you don't get. I'm getting iMessage and FaceTime and whatever those equivalents are in the metaverse, but you don't get anything that I don't get. I get yours plus some.
Yeah, which I think is fair, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what's the baseline? Like the baseline should always be open, in my opinion, right?
I agree.
And that's where, like, if again, Apple AR users, they're the ones getting iMessage that you can talk to other Apple AR. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right? Like you do you with your proprietary software. Just keep the place open.
When Vic kept talking about how Zuck was like talking about build this, build that, we're all gonna build. I just imagine like Zuck sliding into like developers' Instagram DMs and being like, "Yo, let's build, bro."
Yeah. It's like Zuckerberg is like struggling to recruit. So
that's how he hires.
Starts DMing people.
Lincoln build. Anyone?
Yeah. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But I think my purchase is gonna end up being some Apple glasses. And
yeah, for sure.
Just to keep it all.
Quest 2 is pretty cool, but
I tried Quest 2 for a bit and I didn't buy it. Like a lot of people that get it that I hear are like, yeah, I used it for a week and it's collecting dust. And it's just that kind of like closed.
But you know what though? I don't think it's because the device is bad. Because I used Lewis's and it was a great device. It was more that like I don't know. There wasn't anything compelling on the other side to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Exactly.
Also, just like
that world is not good enough.
Adding a layer of interface when it's like specifically the workplace stuff. Because I know you use the workplace stuff sometimes. And I tried it, and I was like, why aren't I just on my own computer instead of trying to use this keyboard computer, right? It was like a layer.
What do you mean?
It's like layers.
It's like,
you know?
I think it's like the use case that I at least have, and my video is coming out soon about that, is that like if you're at home and you have just the laptop right here, like for me specifically, like you're more beneficial with like 2 or 3, but of course you have to spend a lot of money doing that. But with this, you can like create as many monitors as you want and you can use it that way. So it's kind of like you're building an at-home setup without.
Also, Lewis is like working in the fucking Swiss Alps versus like maybe being in his like basement. You know what I mean? So
there's definitely lots of work to do. Like especially
needs to be better.
Well, to me, like I can look at my laptop for like 8 hours a day, while like when I'm in there after like 45 minutes, I'm like
headaches and stuff.
Crap, yeah.
And that's something that VR still needs to figure out is ocular precision or some shit. In real life, we don't have the same issue that we have with the AR the VR headsets, and just that little differential makes us like a lot of people motion sick.
I get exhausted.
Mentally draining.
I feel like when I take my headset off, my eyes are gonna fall out.
Well, you know why? Because you're so those ocular muscles are actually working overtime.
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's small amounts, but then when you take them off, you're like, whoa,
You can feel it.
it's exhausting.
Yeah, and I played a lot of VR.
Lewis gave me his headset once, and he had me on some game, and I don't even remember. I literally stumbled. They had to catch me. Like he had to like oh my god. Like I was like I thought I was gonna throw up. Like it was.
Yeah.
So it happened quick, like within like 60 seconds.
Yeah, you don't want to get sick ever.
Apple actually has, I mean, not to get back into that, but actually, Apple has a bunch of patents, and they've purchased a bunch of companies specifically around technology surrounding that problem. Because I feel like this is the, just knowing Apple, like if they have customers using it or they're demoing it, like engineers demoing it, and people are getting dizzy and shit, they won't ship it.
No, they won't.
That's like totally against their ethos.
Yeah.
So when they drop, it's probably going to be super smooth.
I fully believe that. I've heard that there's like from the rumors, the Apple glasses have like 8K displays on each lens, and it's like
yeah. Well, they actually, the one that I saw, they track where your eyes move, so that it can compensate for that ocular.
Yeah,
it's gonna be so expensive.
Meta has that
ridiculously
too.
expensive.
Yeah,
I'll drop
where the screens move or where it tracks your eyes.
Yeah, they have. They have when Zuck did his 4 prototypes, Quest prototypes. One of them was it changes the screen and stuff depending on it. Yeah, so yeah. You don't want to ever get sick, right? You would need some medication, which brings us back to our rewind.
What do you got for us, Lewis?
Have you guys ever heard of insulin?
Dude, this is probably hit pretty close to home, and yeah, I've heard of insulin.
Yeah.
Aren't you an insulin addict?
Yes, I am. I am very much so. So July 30th, 1921. Insulin was first isolated as a pancreatic extract by Canadian, round of applause, there for Canadians, scientists Sir Frederick Bating and Charles H. Best. So for those who don't know, insulin is...
Sir masturbating? Like he was the...
Sir
okay, this is
Frederick
a serious call.
Bating.
This guy was a hero.
Would you say he was the master of...
He was the best at masturbating.
Of pancreatic extraction?
Sir Frederick Bating,
This is ridiculous, Lewis. Just keep going.
The Queen's probably like, it's like, all right, after I knight you, because you have to be, if you're called Sir, you're knighted by the Queen.
Actually, you don't have to do that. You can just name your kid Sir now.
I mean, sure, right? But where's the flex, right? That's you got fake Jordans as well.
Your mom knighted you, and you wear Shaqs.
Mom knighted you.
It's like, would you rather have master or would you have Sir? It's like, sir, I need Sir. And Charles H. Best. So for those who don't know what insulin is, it's used to lower your blood sugars in the human body for it to function. Your pancreas is naturally creates this for you. So this is a life-changing medication for people living with diabetes, such as myself. I am a diabetic for almost 8 to 9 years now, so I rely on this medication. Now, they sold this patent for $1 to the University of Toronto so that anyone could afford it and replicate it for themselves. Now, we fast forward to today, and insulin is the poster child for pharmaceutical price gouging. So what are some of the most impressive medical inventions to ever exist?
Before we jump to that, what happened to it? So I remember they sold it for $1 to the I remember the story. We actually talked about this, not on the pod. I don't know what we were doing, but we talked about this before.
Yeah.
And somebody else bought it, right?
I think so, yeah.
How does that happen? So did the University of Toronto just run away with the bag?
I'm not sure. Well, the thing is this, because right now there's insulin you can get elsewhere. Like I know there's Walmart insulin, for example. Yeah, which is funny.
There is.
And that's kind of like the cheap alternative.
Walmart is like, no, we're not doing meal kits. We're doing insulin.
Insulin kits.
But and it turns out like people who use the Walmart insulin often aren't as healthy because it's not as high quality. So sorry, what was your question again, Lee?
Well, I just don't. How did it go from being, this guy sold the patent for $1 to make it cheap and available to everybody to becoming such an expensive thing? Like, how did that end up that way?
I'm not entirely sure.
Somebody must have. Okay, so here it is. Today, nearly 100 years later, insulin is a mega big business, a $27 billion global market. 90% of it is controlled by 3 companies: Eli Lilly, Sanofi, and Nova Nordisk.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess they just somehow it ended up in the hands of a
perhaps, yeah. But either way, it's it's crazy with the pharmaceutical, it's a huge business, right? Just similar to how even cancer treatment is a huge business. I mean, of course, you know, we can talk about the ethics of that. That's not what today's Rewind is all about today. But in terms of the actual Rewind, I have a question. What's the most impressive medical invention to ever exist in your guys' opinion? I'll go first while you guys think of your answer. I think it is insulin. For someone like me, I can be super. And
I could go without it. I'm kidding. Can you imagine? My best friend dies because I'm like,
I just go on keto my whole life. But to me, it's something I would have died without, right? So to me, I'm very grateful that that's an invention that exists.
Yeah, I'm grateful for insulin too. It's a good one. Yeah, I see Vic's looking up the whole Mark Cuban cost plus medicine.
Because I was on cost plus drugs the other day. I was doing a story on it, and they do have insulin on here, and I was curious about it. So, they're slashing a lot of prices.
Those are all insulin. Tablets, though. Those are not. Those are for people with diabetes, because there are other health complications, right, Lewis?
But I did see insulin on here last time I was on here. So that's why I was kind of looking for it. But yeah, you guys continue. I'll look for this.
So I don't know. So best health, I gotta say it's gotta be like the advancements of these blood tests.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like being able to do blood test analysis that's been pretty huge.
With such little amount of blood too, you can get so much info. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a new company called Theranos.
Theranos. Yeah, I love that company.
Yeah. Theranos. This is the second time we're gonna try and get it right.
Dose.
Mine would be stem cells, and I know that's not an actual invention, but it is a discovery, and it's
like stem cell research.
Stem cell research, and what it can accomplish for the human body. Like it can literally just cure you.
Yeah,
like literally just be like, oh, your arm is like gonna be destroyed for the rest of your life. Boom, here's some of your cells. You're good.
Yeah.
And like what they're doing now is like 3D printing body parts, using like different, I think like pig skeletons or something like that.
Okay.
I've been
yeah, we covered on the podcast the ear. Do you remember that?
Nothing's new.
It's crazy. And what they're trying to do now is they're taking your stem cells and they're plugging it into these 3D printed or however printed organs, and then they pretty much never get rejected from the body.
They don't get rejected, but they're also like really like they're like the one that we saw that was successful was like it didn't have any vital. It was just cartilage. So it's for the ear.
I remember this. Yeah.
Well, it's a development, right?
It's development. It's developing.
I think the doorway that stem cells opens is like revolutionary.
Yeah.
It's unlike anything
I want to change my answer to CRISPR now, because I just realized that that's not like something we do a lot. Yeah, CRISPR is gonna fucking change everything. So that invention of being able to splice our genes, like that will single-handedly like solve so much. It's scary.
Yeah.
So it might go too far.
Yeah, it might be too good.
Yeah.
That's the question with that one.
There's also like a moral thing to that too. Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Like class based, like it further divides the classes.
I mean that's like saying like good food, there's like a fucking moral problem here. Yeah, the rich people will get fucking food first, but everyone will end up eating eventually.
No, it's not. It's definitely like more of like a survival of the fittest thing.
Yeah,
where
well, here's the thing. It's like what is the alternative? That's going to make eventually everyone will be better for it. Yes, some people will get it first, but eventually everyone will be better for it. So it needs to happen.
But
in the grand
what
scheme,
I think Lewis is saying, what I'm thinking is like the upper class will breed with each other, and naturally they won't need to be like, oh, I'm gene splicing. It's I'm with her and we are both gene spliced, so we're like,
But guys, it takes one. So
but eventually we're still going to like, and this is going to sound so barbaric, but they're going to keep the trashy humans, right, aka me, right. And then they're going to be lower class because they're not as smart, they're not as athletic, they're not like anything.
They're not
just
desirable.
So they do general labor that will fulfill the top upper
class. There's a term for this. It's called Homo evolutus, and it's like we're Homo sapiens now. We've been Homo sapiens for a really long time, and the next evolution is where we're actually editing our own evolution. And yes, the rich people will have the ability to do it first, but once it becomes accessible at scale, which it has to, because there's like going to be like 10 billion people that want this technology. It will in one generation, it'll fix the problem. Because like in Canada, we could be like 5 generations deep in this. And then in India, they might be 3. But the second that they're doing it at the same level that we are. And in one generation, their kids will be up to speed with ours. So I completely disagree that it will create a disparaging snowball effect where we'll just keep getting better and better than they are, because couple generations, like it takes a while, like a generation takes like 30, 40, 50, you know what I mean?
If
like
economies of scale apply where it gets way, way, way cheaper in order to effectively I want to be I want to be 6'5", bro. Like, let's go.
You can't change you,
Yeah.
guys. Like, you can. It's CRISPR babies that are the problem.
Oh, okay.
You can't just make you 6 feet.
People actually are. There's like a whole, like, I think it's on Netflix or something. It's like this whole series about people that do gene editing to themselves and like make themselves more jacked and stuff.
Oh yeah. So you can. Yeah. But there's like so much you can do that's safe. Like you're already fully developed. So it's like the gene, the what do they call them? Like designer babies.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the big issue, which I do agree with, but I don't think it's going to be like generate, like it'll be a snowballing effect. I think it'll be like a lag where like all the modern Western countries are like, their babies are just fucking crushing shit. And like their babies are super smart and like inventing new technologies and stuff. And then their kids are just like kind of average, and then they'll get it and then they'll be fine.
Okay.
So that's my take on it.
Agree to disagree. But I'm interested to hear what Kane has to say.
When you asked that question, I was like, oh, what the heck? I'm not really sure. What the top of my head is, what would I, because there's so many potential answers. So I went to the good old Google and I found this article and they came through. I'll give you the top 2 medical breakthroughs that this article says in the last 21st century. First one was artificial organs, something that hasn't like been fully implemented, but obviously getting there. And the second one was HIV treatment, which is another interesting one.
Oh, right.
That's a big one.
Which, which made me think of vaccines in general, right?
Yeah.
Like
True.
how many lives have been saved through vaccines.
Even the mRNA one, like that methodology of vaccines is like radically different than the older way they were doing
and
it.
it is a known fact that 100% of people trust and love vaccines. So
Jeez.
And also the mRNA vaccine gets you a discount at Microsoft.
that's why I got this Microsoft phone. I love it.
That's who controls the metaverse. Whoever controls the vaccines. They're like,
That's why
do
I
I,
don't
have to have to be double vaxxed to get into the metaverse? Is that the paywall?
Yeah, you do.
so, Lewis, do you want me to reveal the meme now? Is it meme time?
Yeah, do you want me to reveal the meme?
Well,
now?
like I just have to show Vic.
Oh, yeah. So, all right, guys. So I have the meme.
Okay.
So 3, 2, 1. All right. So it says, so it shows older man, like a dad, showing his kid a wall, but the dad has a VR headset on, and the kid is looking at nothing. He just looking at the wall because he doesn't have a VR headset on. In the quote, it says, "One day, son, all of this will be yours," which is funny.
he's just looking at a wall.
Do you think he's
looking
looking at a bored ape?
He's like pimping. He's just like a crazy crib.
It's like,
Have you guys ever
check out
seen
my sandbox plot?
Have you guys ever seen it's like a classic image on the internet. It shows like a court discussion between like a divorced couple, but they're like separating the Beanie Babies on the floor during the court debate. Have you seen that?
No.
So like they bought a bunch of, in the 90s, bought like a whole ton of Beanie Babies because they thought there was going to like
Be
go to the
collectible.
moon, right? Turns out no one really cared about them.
Yeah.
So it's just it's a ridiculous picture. I'm just thinking 10, 20 years from now, you just have a bunch of like a database of like, this is my NFT, this is your NFT, this is my NFT.
Splitting up the shit on the blockchain,
Yeah,
like you're
in a divorce settlement. That'd be hilarious.
actually. Is that like a thing? Like, are your NFT assets like common law? Like, do they become like?
Well, it's like it's an asset, right? It falls under the same
So, yeah.
class. Like what? Like they're trying to lean more in the direction of cryptos becoming not securities but actually currencies, like formally. So it would just be like the same classification as money if
Damn.
it goes in that direction.
Well, just before we got to go here, I want to thank Vic and Caden for coming on to the podcast. Do you guys have anything to plug before we decide to wrap up here? Caden?
No.
Okay.
No, he has no plugs. No advertisers are paying you to say anything today. Vic already has a plug. He did.
No, I mean like plug
Yeah,
for
like-
yourself. Like plug yourself. You're here. You spend an
just,
hour of your time.
Check out viclaranja.com. You can find all my links, learn about me, what I do, and my background. If you want to work with me, I might be down.
Cool. And then Caden, you can check out Caden at what's your agency called?
I don't want to plug anything.
Okay.
I don't want to play. He's like, I'm only here to provide value.
It's exclusive.
Side note, that meme, it says Percival in the bottom right corner, who's the lead character in Ready Player One. So maybe he grows up to being like, yo, I'm going to own the metaverse because Percival owns the metaverse.
Yeah.
Ready Player One.
And maybe he's like showing him everything, which is actually pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So
Crazy. Thanks, guys, for joining us. We really appreciate you. And this has been a great conversation about the philosophies of VR and AR, as well as, meal delivery kits, and then obviously some deeper stuff there too about health in the future. So thanks for joining us and being a part of the episode 22.
I think it's 22, yeah, or
I
maybe
think
23.
22.
It's too early, guys. You gotta start keeping track better.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks for listening.
Hey,
Don't forget
thank you.
to review this podcast wherever you listen to them, and give us 5 stars if you feel like it. You can also follow us on social media like TikTok and Instagram and YouTube to see our short form content. Have anything else, Lewis?
That's everything. And thank you very much for watching.
Catch you next week.